Okay, good afternoon. So, have you prepared on the topics? What was the target given in your last test? So, this will be your first question. So, again, you can say this was a previous year UPSC question that has been asked. Radcliffe committee was appointed for which of the following? So, these and all questions you have to be able to answer within, matter of seconds. Why? Because a straightforward question that is between India and Pakistan boundary. So, similarly, if you take, you have McMahon line. It is a boundary line between India and China. You have Durand line, which is again a boundary between Afghanistan and Pakistan. So, this was again a previous year UPSC question where you can get 2 marks. Okay. Okay, this question. Which one of the following is the largest committee of the parliament? Now, in these kind of questions, see, you have to be easily able to get it correct. Okay, a very basic, easy question. But again, why you might not have been able to answer this question is that one, maybe you have not solved enough, or when you have read, you have not focused on certain facts which is there. So here, what will be the answer for those who know the answer? Or if you want to make a guess, what can be the answer? See, public undertakings, public accounts committee. So have you read about this committee called as estimates committee? How many members are there in estimates committee? 30. How many members are in their public sector accounts committee? 22 members, 15 in Lok Sabha, 7 in Rajya Sabha. Same way with public undertakings. Committee on petition has only 10 members in it. So it is estimates committee, which is the largest committee, which is there. You are getting the point. So the idea of this initiative itself is to make student solve PYQs. So get it as much as possible in your head. You won't clear the exam just by reading the same content. Means you have to read it multiple times, but unless you solve the questions, you won't be able to focus on what are the different aspects. So how do different toppers, they clear prelims pretty easily, plain and simple, they would have solved 500 to 600 questions in each subject. That's the only difference between those who clear and those who don't clear. Those who don't clear, what they will do, they'll just go back to same library, just remove page after page, keep reading the again thing, never bothered about solving questions. And that is why every year if you see, the result will also be the same. As we say, doing the same thing again and again and expecting the result to be different, it's heights of foolishness. So plain and simple. Here you need to solve questions, and that's what I told. Even if you get it wrong, it's fine. But it will give you a lot of information and a lot of extra knowledge what you have failed to observe while reading. So estimates committee, it has 30 members. Okay. Public accounts committee has 22 members. Okay. Who is the head of the public accounts committee? It will be the leader of opposition. So if I say it is the constitution has given that leader of opposition will be the head of public accounts committee, will it be correct or wrong? So obviously it will be wrong. Why? Because it is not in constitution, it is a convention which is there. Who will be the head of the estimates committee? It is a ruling party leader only. And both these committees will work according to the rules of the Lok Sabha or respective houses. And if you take in estimate committee, all the 30 members are from Lok Sabha only. There is no representation to Rajya Sabha. Getting point? Similarly, you have committees on petition separately in Lok Sabha and separately in Rajya Sabha. Now, what is your duty of solving previous year question? I'm giving an idea. When you solve previous year question, it's not only what is the answer and move on to the next question. Now, this is something which you have found new. Maybe it might be not in your class notes. You will have to use net and read about what is committee on petitions, what work it will do, okay, in whether it is in both houses, whether it is only one house, how many members are there. Why? Because tomorrow there might be a question on committee on petitions itself. You are understanding how to increase your knowledge base. It's not reading multiple books. To read about the keyword in any of the answer what is given or any of the options what they've given, on that you will have to collect extra information if you feel that you don't know about it all. Got it? Because these three committees you'll know. If you have read the Lakshmikant, you'll 100% know. But committee on petition you would have not come across, in general. So there what you need to do, open the net and look into what is this committee on petition, what work it will do. So it usually has 10 members in that regard. It will be in both houses. It look into petitions that have been filed in Parliament. That is one of the work of what? This committee. Next question. So if you see this question, plain and simple, if you make a mistake here, no tension about mistake here. Which schedule? 10th or which? 8th? Plain and simple, don't get confused. It is 10th schedule. So 10th schedule was added by which amendment? 52nd amendment 1985. That is anti-defection law. So now answer is plain and simple, it is D. Now when you solve the question, you also have to recall about anti-defection law. Okay. So under the anti-defection law, what is the time limit within which the presiding officer should decide the case? There is no time limit that is mentioned. Okay, under the anti-defection law, if any person is disqualified, so let us think they give like this. In the original anti-defection law, if any person who is disqualified under anti-defection law cannot be appointed as a minister. The answer is not true, false. It was not in the original anti-defection law. They brought it under the amendment, that is the 91st amendment. In that they added this provision saying that one who is disqualified under anti-defection law cannot be appointed as a minister. So anti-defection law ಬಂದಿದ್ದು 1985 ಅಲ್ಲಿ 91st amendment ಇವರು ಏನು ತಂದ್ರು, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಎರಡು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ ತಂದ್ರು. ಏನು ಒಂದು, the total strength of the council of ministers cannot be more than 15% of that of Lok Sabha. The other provision also under 91st amendment, any person who is disqualified under anti-defection law cannot be appointed as a minister or to any position of what you can say of, like you can say, head of the boards or etc. He can't be appointed to it. So see, these kind of things you will have to revise or focus upon what are the different ways the question can be asked. Okay, so remember 10th schedule. Second schedule is related to what? Emoluments. Fifth schedule is related to what? That is basically scheduled areas. Eighth schedule is related to what? So basically it is related to the languages in that regard. Okay, now recently there is also something called as classical language. It's different, or they might give an option which of the following is both a scheduled language as well as a classical language. So try to look into these kind of things also. Next question. So what will be the answer? D or B? B. Plain and simple. Article 51A of the Indian Code. Again, this is a previous year UPSC question. Okay. Plain and simple, if you see, if you keep solving UPSC question, what you will realize that unlike your test series questions, they are not making it so complex and all. It is simple only. Yes, of course there will be one or two questions, but that's what I told. Always keep remember, prelims is cleared by those people who don't make mistakes in basic questions. It is not cleared by those people who are trying to get the difficult questions correct. If you make mistakes in basic questions, that is the end of the road. It's very difficult to make a comeback. So it's a very straightforward question. Directive principle of state policy. Which of the following are the functions of cabinet secretariat? You have last 30 seconds. So how many of you say it is C? How many of you say a different answer? D, A. How many of you don't know? Okay. Why you don't know? Your class ಇವಾಗ ಜಾಯ್ನ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ. Okay, for example, I think for you polity has been not yet done. ಮುಗ್ದಿದೆಯಾ polity? ಇನ್ನು ಆಗಿ ಇವಾಗ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. So in general, if you take secretariat, secretary, ಯಾರು ಇರ್ತಾರೆ? Yes. So they are doing what is the job of the cabinet secretariat. So if you're basically saying bureaucracy. Third option, if you take allocation of financial resources, that can't be done by the executive as per se. That has to be done by either the political class or the parliament, or the government can demand funds, or the budget when present the finance minister can allocate financial resources. It won't be with cabinet secretariat. Cabinet secretariat, it is called, or the cabinet secretary is called the eyes and ears of the cabinet. The cabinet secretary, he heads the cabinet secretariat. The highest position and highest officer in this country can hold is a cabinet secretary. And what is the functions of cabinet secretary? To set the agenda of the meeting, to communicate to the different ministries what is the decision that has been taken in the cabinet, to provide the cabinet necessary inputs for them to take decisions, to update the cabinet regarding to what the decisions that were previously taken, what is the status of those decisions in large. These are the major functions done by the cabinet secretariat. So cabinet secretariat does not allocate financial powers. So answer will be C, that is 1 and 2. So suppose if they give the question also in the form of 1 statement, 2 statement, 3 statement, still you can answer this question. Why? Because logically you can easily remove, or you can get the third statement is wrong. And even if you just plainly read the first 2 sentences, even with a brief idea, very vague idea, even if you don't know specifically about it, you can guess it that it is correct. So answer is what? 1 and 2. Next question. Which of the following are discretion powers of the governor of the state? So you have again 1 minute. So how many of you say it is B? Okay, how many of you say it is D or C or A? So first statement, sending a report to the president for imposing the president's rule, is it discretionary power? 100% yes. Appointing ministers, is it a discretionary powers? Because he will appoint ministers on the recommendation of the CM. So 2 is incorrect. 2 is incorrect now, answer alle bantu. Okay, but still let us take if they give 1 statement, 2 statement correct. Reserving certain bills passed by the state legislature for the consideration of the president. 100% it is correct because it is his discretion. And making rules to the conduct of business of the state government, not his discretion. He has to act according to the advice given by the council of ministers and the CM. Same thing what you read for PM and president, it will be the same. So answer will be what? The answer will be 1 and 3, that is B. Next question. Again you have 60 seconds. Last 20 seconds. Done. Time up. So what will be the answer? So how many of you say D? Okay. How many of you say A? Okay. You D, those who gave D as the answer. Why D is the answer? Or why you feel D is the answer? Okay, option 2 is easy. It is name of the president. Why option 1 is incorrect? Parliament ಗೂ ಇದಕ್ಕೂ ಏನು ಸಂಬಂಧ ಇದೆ? Statement ಏನಿದೆ? President shall make rules for more convenient transaction of business of the government of India and for the allocation among the said business. It is one of the power of the president. He will exercise that power on the advice of what? The Prime Minister and Council of Minister. Transaction of business rules, allocation of business rules, 1961. So answer is what? The first statement is correct. The second statement is incorrect. The second statement is incorrect because it is not in the name of the Prime Minister. All the decisions are taken in the name of the President. So answer is what? 1 only. So that's why I told. Reading these statements carefully is very essential. Why? Because this is again a level 1 question. Basic question which you have to get it correct in the exam. So now here it is fine. Why? Because you are solving these questions only to work on your making sure that you don't get mistakes in basic or easy questions. But here why? Because now he is thinking something else, parliament and all. There is no connection with parliament. Where in the whole sentence they have given out parliament. Simple, na? It is one of the executive powers of the president. Even in class notes, if you open it, is there executive powers of the president, allocation of transaction of business rules. So answer is what? It is A. That is 1 only. Next question. Yes, what would be the answer? How many of you say C? How many of you say no, C is wrong? Any other answer? You can give, it's not that majority is always correct. They can be also wrong. Why? Because I am telling some of you, that's why I told write the answer on the book. Why? Because some of you will get influenced. ಇವಾಗ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅದು ಆನ್ಸರೇ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ, ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ 10 ಜನ ಕೈ ಎತ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಆನ್ಸರ್ is C only. But I am telling, some of you will not even know why it is C. Just because everybody told C, you will go with the C. That is a wrong way of solving previous year questions. Why? Because you are not bringing your thinking process into the equation. The moment when somebody gave the answer, you got influenced. You might have made a mistake, or you would have not, you would have been not sure of the first statement. But end of the day, both statements are correct, because no confidence motion is not mentioned in constitution. It is mentioned under the rule 198 of Lok Sabha rules. Second statement is also correct, because no confidence motion can be only introduced in Lok Sabha. It cannot be introduced in Rajya Sabha. And there is also something called as confidence motion. When we speak about confidence motion, when any person takes the oath as the Prime Minister, he will have to bring a motion to prove his majority. For no confidence motion, it is simple majority. For confidence motion, you need effective majority. So these are certain things you have to remember. So answer is what? C. Both 1 and 2 are correct. So that's why I told, when the question is shown to you, try to write it. It might be wrong, it might be right, but you develop your thinking process. Otherwise you are not going to work or improve on the things. And I told half of them why they don't clear, because fear of failure. Okay, ultimately you are going to fail. If not in test series, to prelims to you fail. If you don't put in enough effort, or if you don't make mistakes now, or you are not honest enough to accept those mistakes now, definitely you are just postponing the failure. Failure will bound to happen. But you will hear the bad news only after prelims, where you can't do anything because it is not in your control. Now you can shy away. Shy away means what? Many people don't write tests only. Why? Because kammi barutte. So how do you boost your confidence? Don't write test only. Then there is no question about our confidence. That is fake. Living in your own bubble. And that's why we keep saying, even though there are 1,000 or 2,000 students, that's why I keep saying competition is less. All those who write prelims are not your competitors. They are not going to clear the exam. Why they are not going to? Because it's plain and simple. Without putting that kind of effort, now you are expecting that I want to bat like Virat Kohli, but you can't maintain discipline like Virat Kohli. You are not going to be Virat Kohli. Just because you want to become Virat Kohli or etc. Or just because you everyday open morning Pradeep Ishwar and you think that aage agate ಒಂದು ಪಕ್ಕ ಸೊನ್ನೆ ಬಂದ್ರೆ 10 ಮಗ 100 ಮಗ Gandhi class, not going to clear UPSC. Plain and simple, it's not about emotional thing, pure practical thing. When you have not developed the necessary skills for the exam, the end result is going to be not in your favor. It's no big deal, it's common sense. The only difference is that you don't want to admit it. You want to live in your own bubble saying that somehow I am going to clear this exam. Somehow you are not going to clear the exam unless if you are going to put the necessary effort. And when you put necessary effort, certain times you will have to face the reality. Okay, this is where I lie, this is what I need to improve. So improvement can only happen if you admit there is some problem or somewhere I am going wrong. If you are going to hide away from your problems, you are never going to make improvement. At least in KPSC you can protest. In UPSC there is no room to protest. Simple. UPSC they won't allow you to protest. Next question. Which of the following departments or authorities is not under the Ministry of Home Affairs? Last 20 seconds. So let us think you don't know only. Try to make a logical guess. So what will be the answer? How many of you go with C? How many of you go with A? C, D. So one logical guess you can make. When we look into Jammu and Kashmir, this Article 370 removal, Amit Shah's name keeps coming up. That is one thing you can say, why is his name? Because he is the Home Minister. There might be some connection to it. I am telling you, if you don't know, there are 6 departments. Let us say you didn't know. Or you can say Department of Official Language. That is also one of the department under the Home Ministry. Department of States. You can easily guess why. Because from before, if you take the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel always played a key role and he was the Home Minister of India. The National Authority on Chemical Weapons Convention, it comes under Cabinet Secretariat. It does not come under any particular ministry. It is not a department in any particular ministry. So answer is what? C. Certain times it's not only what we have read will come. Sometimes we'll have to use logic to guess the answer. Yeah, of course, sometimes it can go wrong. But you have to develop the ability to make a guess using some kind of logic behind it. Okay. Which of the following is not related to fundamental rights? Okay, what will be the answer? Time is up. So how many of you go with D? How many of you go with C? C. Okay, how many of you go with B? Okay, how many of you go with A? So B. Why B is the answer? ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಏನು ಕೇಳಿದಾರೆ ಅದು? Plain simple, right? How many times you lose marks in exam not carefully reading the question? That's what I told. Knowledge is different. Examination skills are different. So what do you mean by examination skill? To read the question carefully. Because now she knew the answer, but she'll still ended up getting minus 2.6 or 2.8 or something. Easy question. Why? Because simple mistake. She didn't read the question carefully. Now if you do 3 mistakes like this in exam, easy question, you already lost 8 to 10 marks, and you can say how much big difference it will make in terms of your qualification. That's why I keep telling you. Prelims you don't need to get scared and all, what they will ask. That's what any UPSC paper, even this year, what they will ask, there will be 30 to 35 questions which are your questions. Basic, what you can easily answer from your basic reading, notes reading. All you have to do is that be very conscious, be very much aware, not make a mistake there. So plain and simple, if you take 1 and 2, both are fundamental rights. So they can't be part of the answer because they are asking which is not a fundamental right. If you look at both 3 and 4, both provisions come under Directive Principle of State Policy, DPSP. Even if you don't remember the articles is fine, but if you get one is a Gandhian principle, the other is a socialist principle, if you know, the answer will be D. That is 3 and 4. Understand? Again, this is a previous year UPSC question only asked. Means bit old question. $60 you have. Last 30 seconds. Time up. So what is the answer you have marked or written? Okay, how many of you say answer is A? Okay. How many of you say answer is B? How many of you say answer is C? How many say C? Okay. How many say answer is D? So now you told C is the answer. So basically according to you, second statement is wrong. ಅದಲ್ಲ ಬೇಡ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ತಪ್ಪಿದೆಯಾ ರೈಟ್ ಇದೆಯಾ? Then how can the answer be B? There are 2 ways of answering this question. Given on the options given, one though is guarantee that one statement is wrong. So you have to choose the best possible 3 statements which are correct. So now let us say she got doubt between second and fourth. Let us think she got doubt. I'll give you explanation later. Between second and fourth, which though 100% you are sure it is 100% correct that you would have read in a book? Second. First though 100% correct, read in a book. Third though 100% correct, read in a book. Then why you will get confused? Fourth statement is incorrect because it is the other way around. It is not preamble incorporates fundamental rights. Fundamental rights incorporate the values and the principles given in the preamble. So answer is what? Answer is A. 1, 2 and 3. You can find, there are 2 ways you can solve. You can know that fourth statement is wrong. Why? Because it is not the preamble incorporates fundamental rights. What is there in preamble that is incorporated by fundamental rights. Okay. So what values are there in preamble that has been included where? Fundamental rights, DPSP, etc. So preamble does not, what you can say, incorporate fundamental rights to citizens, because first of all, preamble is non-justiciable in nature. But even if you didn't know that, even if you're not able to think in that direction, there is nothing to worry. As long as you knew the first 3 statements are pakka correct, you take your answer, that is because one though has to be correct. So like you got doubt between, there is nowhere you can get doubt in the first three statements. So answer is what? A, 1, 2 and 3. Got it? So that's what I told, when you solve questions, it's not only always about knowledge, it's also about developing certain skills, that how to eliminate the option, and that is what is going to make you clear prelims. It's not about which test series you are writing. You can write any test series, it makes no difference. It's only the mass mentality. So obviously when you work with lot of previous year questions, you will develop abilities to how to identify. Okay, this though everybody knew, but everybody didn't get it correct. Simple, it's everybody knew, but everybody didn't get it correct. That's what I told. There's a difference between reading and there is a difference between solving. So answer is what? 1, 2 and 3. So why fourth statement is incorrect? It is the other way around. It is fundamental rights that incorporates the values and principles mentioned in the Indian Preamble. Okay. You have 60 seconds. Last 15 seconds. Yes, your time is up. What will be the answer? So how many of you go with A? How many of you say the answer might be different also? So the key word here is that what? Which is not correct. Okay. So one way how you can do it, if you are not sure, first identify which is correct. So that can't be the answer. Proportional representation, single transfer vote, 100% you know it is correct. So that can't be the answer. Electoral college does not include elected members of legislative council, that is MLCs are not included. So that is also correct. That can't be the answer. President is elected by elected members of parliament, legislative assemblies of states and union territories. This is also correct statements if you know the electoral college. So this can't be. You are left with only one option, that is here. The explanation is that the union minister can contest president election, but once if he wins the president's election, before he takes the oath, he'll have to resign from his position, or even if he takes the oath, his position will be considered to be vacant. So answer is what? A, because it is incorrect. There is no rule which says that a union minister cannot go on to become the president. So answer is what? A. Consider the following statement regarding the election of the president. Time is up. So how many of you say A? Question A is not the answer. First statement is elected indirectly. Correct. He is elected through an electoral college consisting of all elected MPs and MLAs. That is also correct. He is elected directly. This is incorrect. And members of legislative council have no right to vote in presidential elections. Just now you read now, it is correct. So answer is what? B, that is 1, 2 and 4. Plain and simple. So these are all UPSC questions. If you see, they are not asking anything very difficult. And president topic is one topic. Repeatedly they have asked in prelims in various themes. 60 seconds. Last 20 seconds. Time is up. What will be the answer? How many of you say A? How many of you say A is incorrect? What is the answer? Okay, she is saying B is the answer. So the governor is appointed by the president on the recommendation of the CM of the respective state. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಓದಿದಿರಿ? ನಾನೇ ಗವರ್ನರ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದು. ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಹೋಗಿ ಇದೆ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಯು ಯಾರಮ್ಮ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ನಿಂಗೆ ಪಾಲಿಟಿ? ನೀವು ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಿಯಾಂಬಲ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಂಜಣ್ಣ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ರು, ಗವರ್ನರ್ ನಿಖಿಲ್ ಸರ್ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ರು, ಅವ್ರು ಸಖತ್ತಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು. So governor is appointed by the president on the recommendation of the prime minister and council of minister. CM does not play any role. First of all, it is not written in constitution also that CM has to be consulted. It is Nehru's formula which is there, which is a convention. CM is consulted or may be consulted, but the president will act according to the advice given by the prime minister and council of minister. So this answer is so this statement is incorrect. First statement though 100% correct. Okay, maybe in the original constitution it was not there, but later they told one governor can be for 2 or more states. Then governor has the power to grant pardon, reprieve, remission, punishment of a person convicted under a state law. So what will be the answer? A. That is 1 and 2. Simple. Sixty seconds you have. Last 30 seconds. Time is up. Yes, what will be the answer? B. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, let us think you have not read in detail. You have to purely work on your common sense, logic, etc. So, whether a commitment made by a minister on the floor of the house, what do you mean by the word making a commitment? I am assuring you something that I will do. So, obviously, the word assurance is found in which statement here? Committee on Public Assurance. There are 2 ways of answering this question. One, you have read about it, you will know. You have not read all the committees, but dimag ki batti jalav means you are going to use your common sense. That's why I told you, UPSC is not an exam cleared only by rote learning people. Rote learners don't clear this exam. Maybe in the market they predict those who are not able to clear, they will tell, no, this is rote learning exam, gattodkono pass ಮಾಡಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಗಟ್ಟೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ ಯಾಕೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಆಗಲ್ಲ you can't by heart read everything and go. Sometimes you will have to look into the question paper, use the logic, use common sense. That is what we call as a smart person. We need smart people into administration. So obviously answer is what? Committee on Public Assurances. I am telling if you didn't know what is the logic, you would have used it. But what you will have to do while solving previous year questions, you will have to go through each committees. Just use net 2 minutes to read about what is the committees. See, prelims is all about, you don't need to write details now. Just if you see your photographic memory, you are able to link, that would be sufficient. Okay. Okay, what will be the answer for this question? You have 60 seconds. So these are questions you should not take more than 30 seconds to solve. What is the answer? Okay, so 51 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆಯಾ use of UN peacekeeping forces for resolution of international disputes ಅಂತ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ 51 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದೇನು UN peacekeeping forces ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದೆಲ್ಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. Of course D is 100% there to settle international disputes in an arbitrary way, means in a non-coercive way. Promote international peace and security, maintain ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಲಾಜಿಕ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. The three statements are all general statement. The one statement what is there, it's very specific, use UN peacekeeping forces. ತೆಗೆದು ನೋಡಿ 51 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಆ ಥರ ಇಲ್ಲ, use peacekeeping forces. That's what I'm telling, even if you have not read about article 51, general thing what you could have applied in constitution, they would have not specifically written that you should use UN peacekeeping forces to resolve international disputes. Not the case. So encourage settlement for national disputes by arbitration. That is the general point. Yes, of course we believe in a peaceful world order. Maintain just and honorable nations between different nations. Promote international peace and security. So even if you didn't know specifically, odd man out, it is going to be C. "60 seconds you have to solve this question. Last 10 seconds. Yeah, time is up. Okay, he's saying D is the answer. How many of you say D is the answer? Okay. How many of you say A is the answer? How many of you say B is the answer? A. So okay, go by statement by statement. Residuary powers have been given to the Union Parliament, right or wrong? Then how you told the answer is D? ಸಮಯಕ್ಕೆ ಬಾರದ ಬುದ್ಧಿ ಸಾವಿರ ಇದ್ದರೂ ಲದ್ದಿ. First statement is the correct. Okay, let us take, you assumed it is incorrect, but how the answer can be 4? Viceroy, Governor General is all same. So first statement is correct. Okay. Second statement, in matters of reduced power, India follows Constitution Australia. It is Canada, not Australia. Third, 7th schedule of the Indian Constitution provides for residuary powers. Allenu residuary powers anta list enilla. They only tell any subject that does not come under this list, that will be considered as, there is no list for residuary powers. There are only 3 lists: central list, state list, concurrent list. Fourth statement, the Government of India Act placed, if this you generally read, if you have read the Government of India Act, Viceroy, Governor General, etc. So answer is what? They have asked which is correct. So answer is C, that is 1 and 4. Plain and simple. You are getting the point. This is just the difference of those people who make it to the mains and those people who don't make it to the mains. It's not that those people who are clearing prelims are something extra they have in them. All they do is that they'll be very careful in exam. They are not going to make mistakes in these kinds of questions. That's what I told. This exam is not just about which book you have read. This exam is also about how well you have prepared practicing answer. Why? Because you have to overcome that. On that day the pressure will be even more. This is just even an initiative. But on the exam day you will be under greater pressure. So obviously what will happen, there will be greater chances that you will make a mistake. Next question. Again, you have 60 seconds. Last 30 seconds. Last 10 seconds. Time up. What will be the answer? So how many of you say A? How many of you say B? How many of you say C? How many of you say D? Yes, no, ಗೊತ್ತೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. Why you don't know? Huh? Head of the government ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ವಾ? PM. ಅಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ನೀಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. They have told which is correct about presidential system. ಇವಾಗ ಅಮೆರಿಕಾ presidential system. ಅಮೆರಿಕಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋದೇ ಒಂದೇ ಹೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್, ಹೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಕಾಮನ್ ಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಸತಿ ಬುಕ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಇವಾಗ ಅಮೆರಿಕನ್ ಟ್ರಂಪ್ ಪ್ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. Second statement, the executive can veto the legislative. You know, right? American president has veto powers. Answer is what? Answer is C. See, that's what I'm telling you. Unless you work on previous year questions, unless you work on ability to apply, what else others have told, I don't know. You won't clear this exam just by sitting and reading a book from morning till night and just writing down notes, notes after notes after notes after notes. ಹಂಗೆ ಬರ್ದವ್ರು ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ? You have very little examples. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಸೇಮ್ ಥಿಂಗ್. ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಪೀಪಲ್ ವೋಂಟ್ ಡೂ ದಿಸ್. ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಡೇ ಇದು ಟೈಮ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ನಾವು ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಓದ್ತೀವಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂಚೂರು. ಓದ್ತಾನೇ ಇರಬೇಕು 3-4 years. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸಿಂಪಲ್, ದೇ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್, ದೇ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಪುಟ್ ಇನ್ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಅಪ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದೇ ಟು ಟೇಕ್. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ವೈ ವಿನಯ್ ಸರ್ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್, at least conduct this session, at least make them understand that this is what is required for the exam. Unnecessarily simply they are wasting their time thinking that what ಶೂನ್ಯ ಬರೀತೀವಿ, ಅದು ಬರೀತೀವಿ, ಇದು ಬರೀತೀವಿ, ಕೊನೆಗೆ ಶೂನ್ಯನೇ ತಗೊಂತೆ. See, plain and simple, you could have applied, na? President Trump got elected recently. Okay, America is a presidential system. Okay, simple, basic your NCRT reading. Difference between parliamentary system, presidential system. In parliamentary system, there are two heads. In presidential, there is single head. In parliamentary system, you have executive that is accountable to the legislative. In presidential system, executive is not accountable to the legislative. Okay, second statement, how you can get? You know that American president also has veto power. That much you know. So second statement has to be correct. So answer is what? C, both 1 and 2. $60 seconds. D. Okay. Why it is D? Why do you think so it is D? All are correct. Pakka correct. So do you think Solicitor General of India, is it a constitutional post? ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್? ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ದಿದೆ? ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಬರ್ದಿಲ್ಲ. ಬರೀ ಅದು ಅಟಾರ್ನಿ ಜನರಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಬರ್ದಿರೋದು. AJ ಅಂತ ಬರ್ದಿಲ್ಲ, ಓನ್ಲಿ AJ. SGI ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಬರ್ದಿರೋದು ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ನಾಟ್ ಇನ್ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್. ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಡಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ದಿ ವರ್ಡ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಆಫ್ Solicitor General. But here The answer is, actually the question has been dropped. Why? Because there are two statements which are incorrect. The first statement is also incorrect. Yakendre he is not the chief legal advisor, it is the AGI who is the chief legal advisor. Third statement is also incorrect because it is not a constitutional position, only the position of AGI is a constitutional position. Second statement is correct, he is the second most senior most law officer in the country. Fourth statement is also correct, he is appointed by the committee on cabinet, means even AGI is also recommended to the president by this cabinet committee on what is that appointment, which is headed by the prime minister. Okay, so here there is the answer has been dropped. Why? Because in what they have done now, they have given off by mistake two incorrect statements and they asked you to identify what. So they have dropped the question saying that is, but here SGI is not a constitutional post. It only mentions about Attorney General of India. Under the rules, they have told you can have Solicitor General and additional Solicitor General. Okay. Second one is not the chief legal advisor to the government. The chief legal advisor to the government is Attorney General of India. So the answer means idike answer antilla. There are two statements which are incorrect. So they asked which statements are correct. 60 seconds. Last 10 seconds. Time is up. So what will be the answer? So how many of you see? A easy question. Special Marriages Act 1954. As you know, it deals with inter-religious marriages. Because even though we don't have uniform civil code, if there is an inter-religious marriage, you can register the marriage under what? Special Marriage Act. And Special Marriage Act applies to not only in India, it also applies to Indian citizens abroad. Right to marry a person of choice, you can say it is part of fundamental right. Hadia case, the Supreme Court declared. This you can generally, guess that it will be correct because Universal Declaration of Basic Human Right is to what? It resonates the marital rights of every adult consenting individuals. So they have used clearly the word adult, consenting, etc., etc. 100% that will be a basic human right. So obviously there are a lot of human rights. You can't sit and read all the human rights, but you can use your common sense saying that okay, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, of course they would have included right to housing, right to marriage. These are all basic things which people need to have, and that is why the key word, if you observe, every adult consenting individual. Consenting means out of their own will. So answer is what? C, 1, 2 and 3. Next question, again 60 seconds. Last 10 seconds. Time up. What will be the answer? The answer is B. Okay. So for example, in a state, so there are two things you can understand. So one more information what you can also know is that scheduled tribal advisory councils can be also established in those states which have scheduled tribe but they don't have any scheduled area. Who can do it? President can issue an order under Article 244 clause 1. The other thing you can also know is that from this, it's not necessary wherever there is scheduled tribe, there will be tribal advisory council. So for example, in Karnataka we have scheduled tribes, but you don't have scheduled areas, neither you have creation of tribal advisory councils. So recently you take, they have created in states like West Bengal, okay, a few years back. West Bengal does not come under the 5th schedule, but they have created tribal advisory council, and who can create? President, Article 244 clause 1. So when you solve a question, you can also get other information, other clarification. So tomorrow in one more question they might ask, tribal advisory council can be only established in a scheduled area. The statement is incorrect, because you can also establish tribal advisory council in those states where there is no scheduled area but there are scheduled tribes. Okay, you can, this statement is like one statement, two statement, or one, three statements are correct. So because the question is big, I'll just enlarge the statement. So you have to, option A is only one statement is correct, option 2 is two statements are correct, option 3 is three statements are correct. So this was a UPSC 2023 question. So first statement, is it right or is it wrong? The members of nominated House of Parliament, they do not take part. Then you have higher number of legislative assembly, higher is the value of vote of each MLA of that state. No, it's false. Why? Because it is not based on higher number of MLAs. It also depends upon what is the population of that particular state. It's based on the ratio. So you can guess this statement that it is incorrect. Just because a state has more number of MLAs, it depends also upon what is the population of that particular state. The value of vote of each MLA of Madhya Pradesh is greater than that of Kerala. It is incorrect. But that's why I told this question was very difficult to answer. Why? Because you need to know specifics. And it's not a question where you can eliminate options. Why? Because you will have to know all these statements whether they're right or they're wrong. So you can say, sorry, yeah, the value of vote of each MLA of Madhya Pradesh is not greater. It's Kerala whose value is greater than Madhya Pradesh. So that statement is also incorrect. And if we take the value of vote of each MLA of Puducherry is higher than that of Arunachal Pradesh, because the ratio of population to total number of elective seats in Puducherry is greater compared to Arunachal Pradesh. Read the statement. The value of vote of each MLA of Puducherry is higher than Arunachal Pradesh because the ratio of total population to total number of elected seats in Puducherry is greater than compared to Arunachal Pradesh. Statement is correct if you take logically. So here this statement is correct in that regard. And which other statement? This Madhya Pradesh, I think, is lower than Kerala, right? So I think the answer should be only one statement is correct. Even I have forgotten what is the answer for this question. Let me check once. Yeah, answer is only one only. That is what, only the last statement is correct. The first three statements are incorrect. So here logic what you could have used is that if you look at the second statement and fourth statement, they contradict each other. So here they have given reason. What is the reason? Why Puducherry has greater value than what is that Arunachal Pradesh? Because they have given the ratio. And if you look at the second statement, the higher number of what you can say elective assembly seats, higher is the value. So basically that is not the case. This is difficult to guesswork unless you know. The only one logic you can use here is that if you see the three statements are in logical connections. Okay, so here if you usually think Madhya Pradesh is a bigger state compared to Kerala, but even though they have higher number of MLAs than Kerala, but because of the population ratio difference what you take, it will Kerala which will have a higher value than Madhya Pradesh. So the first three statements are incorrect. The only statement that is correct is your fourth statement. So answer this question will be what? A, only one. So the problem in 2023 paper was that you can't eliminate. So that is why the cutoff drastically reduced to what? 75. The reason is that you have to be very careful in deciding whether to attend that question or not attend the question unless you are sure about 4 information or you are ready to take that risk, saying that okay fine, my logic will be correct. And that is why you can say in 2023 those who try to attend lot of questions without any kind of logic, their marks drastically declined, and that is why the cutoff also dropped to what? 75. Next question, 60 seconds. Okay, what will be the answer? Okay, how many of you say C is the answer? How many of you say A is the answer? How many of you say B is the answer? Which of the following is not necessarily a consequence of proclamation of president's rule? Meaning when president rule has been proclaimed, not necessarily this should happen. 1. Dissolution of legislative assembly. Does that happen or not happen? Not necessarily it will happen. They can only keep suspended unless it is passed in the parliament. So of course 1 will be part of your answer because not necessarily it will happen. Second, removal of council of ministers in the state. Pakka that will happen when president's rule has been declared. Immediately they will suspend the state council of ministers. Third, dissolution of local bodies. What is the connection between president's rule and dissolving local? There is no connection between president rule. So that does not happen. So what will be your answer? Answer will be B, that is 1 and 3. So this is what we say, a easy question, but how UPSC has made it complex by twisting and turning with the words what they have asked, and that is why in these type of questions it is easy, but straight away it might be difficult for you unless you calmly take these statements and read it 1 or 2 times. Urgently if you go and try to answer this question, you will go wrong. You are getting a point? So many times what will happen, imagine this in solving in an exam environment where you are in complete tension, And that's why I told, like, sometimes what some students will do, they'll spend lot of time on initial question. Now let us say this question will be towards the end. Now you have to answer 10 questions, you have 5 minutes and you come to this question, 90% of times they'll make mistake. Why? Because in that hurry to read that question very quickly and solving it will be difficult. But if you calmly think, you will easily get this question correct, because there was which is not necessarily, not necessarily means 100% ಇದು ಆಗೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಏನು ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. So if you look here, dissolution of state legislative assembly does not happen with proclamation of president's rule. It will happen with passing of the president's rule. So president's rule article 356, who can proclaim president's rule? President. On whose advice he can proclaim president's rule? The prime minister and the council of ministers. On what grounds he can proclaim president's rule? Broken mandate, hung verdict, or if the particular state government is not acting according to what the constitution says. President's rule has to be passed by the parliament within what time? Within 2 months. By what kind of majority? Simple majority. And what are the grounds on which the president, okay, what will happen when president's rule has been brought? One, once they proclaim, if you take even SR Bommai case, they told till it is passed in the parliament, you cannot dissolve the state legislative assembly. State council of ministers will be immediately suspended. Third one, you can say that once the parliament will pass within 2 months, now they can dissolve the state legislative assembly. Now the powers of the state legislature will be taken over by the parliament. The parliament will pass the budget for that respective state. They will make laws on the respective state subject. There is no link between fundamental rights and president's rule. There is no impact. And you can extend president's rule for maximum for 3 years. To extend beyond 1 year, you need either of the conditions. One, in that particular state, there should be either national emergency, or the Election Commission of India should give a report saying that it is not possible to conduct elections within that time. Only then you can extend beyond 1 year. And when president's rule can be removed? President at any point of time on the recommendation of the prime minister and council of ministers. So answer here is what? B, that is 1 and 3. Sixty seconds you have. Last 10 seconds. Time is up. So what will be the answer? So plain and simple, answer is A. Because B, C and D, these are all features of what? Parliamentary system. So if you see that it does not separate the legislative and executive function. Parliamentary, because you can say legislative and executive not clearly separated. Amit Shah, who is a minister, he is part also of the legislative, he is also part of the executive. President follows the principle of collective responsibility. There is no kind of collective responsibility in presidential system. Tenure of the president depends upon the legislature. In America, Trump is guaranteed 4 years of tenure. So he can't be removed because the support will come down. But only first thing, president is not part of the legislative body. So if you take in America. So here the answer is what? A. Which of the following statements as per the Constitution of India is not correct? 60 seconds. Last 20 seconds. Time up. So what will be the answer? So for example, President gives his resignation to Chief Justice of India, right or wrong? It is incorrect. The Vice President tenders his resignation to the President of India, right or wrong? So basically it is correct. The CAG is removed from his office like the manner as President of India, right or wrong? It is incorrect. It is as per Supreme Court judge. The judge of the Supreme Court can resign from his office by writing to the Chief Justice of India. That is incorrect. Not to Chief Justice, he will resign it to the President. So now they have asked that which of the following statements are incorrect. So answer will be 1, 3 and 4. Got it? All of these things you would have read. The only problem is that lack of revision or lack of solving questions is just the difference. Okay. All these things you would have read. The only problem is that lack of revision. When you have not revised, what will happen? That clarity won't be there. So you will be tempted to think like many would have thought the last statement is correct. Purely it happens, this is nothing logic here, purely factual information here. There is nothing called of logic here. Logic you can use. What is the usual logic? Who makes the appointment? To them only you will give resignation. So who will appoint a Supreme Court judge? Of course it is President. So whom that fellow will resign to? To the President. That is the logic what you could have used. But if you are getting this question wrong, it is only for two reasons. One, you have not revised sufficiently. Second one, you are also not using any kind of logic there. Means when you are reading also, just by hearting and reading, you are not understanding. Polity can be also understood. You can apply logic to understand polity. But if you are only a rote learning parrot, what will happen? These kind of things will happen when they will mix statement intermingling, you will get confused. Got it? So answer is what? 1, 3 and 4, and the keyword here you should have noted is which of the following statement is not correct. Next question. $60 you have. Last 15 seconds. Time up. So first statement, a person who is not member of either house of the parliament can be appointed as a member of 100% correct. Anyone can be appointed as a council of minister for maximum period of 3 years. This you know it is incorrect, it is 6 months. A person shall not be less than 25 years in order to become 100% correct, because at least you have to be a Lok Sabha member or a Rajya Sabha member. So among Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, at least you have to be 25 years to be appointed a minister, because to get there you have to be an MP to become a minister. So answer is what? 1 and 3. Next question. 60 seconds you have. Last 5 seconds. Time up. Okay. So first statement, the executive power of Union of India is vested in the Prime Minister. Okay, but don't you think Prime Minister has executive powers? They are not written anything like that. The decision is taken in name of the President. The executive power is vested with the PM also. PM also performs many executive functions. Maybe where they have told. Does Prime Minister has executive powers or not? The Prime Minister is the ex officio chairperson of Civil Service Board. Who is the ex officio chairperson of Civil Service Board? The Cabinet Secretary. He is the ex officio chairperson of Civil Service Board. Now this means options are there, but that means the question is big. So you have to match the following here. Hota committee, Satish Chandra committee, Alag committee. Again you get 60 seconds here.